The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Wednesday, 3rd day of September 2025. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first broadcast is our live training room. So that one is reserved for our traders and those who are taking their 1-week free trial. If you've not taken your 1-week free trial, when Michael joins us in about an hour, he'll walk you through step by step exactly how to take the trial. Do it today. We'll get your indicators up and indicating today. I realize tomorrow's Thursday, but that's okay. You'll still get 5 consecutive trading days. In other words, the weekend doesn't count against you. So your trial will officially start tomorrow morning. You'll have Thursday, you'll have Friday, and then you'll have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. So over the weekend, you'll have some time to get familiar with the indicators. And some markets never sleep. And our strategy and our indicators works with any market and any time frame. When the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break and come back for this broadcast, the noon broadcast, which is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways you can join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only have to do it once. Go here to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says noon broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day, you'll get an email about an hour before the broadcast starts. In that email, there will be a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email, and it'll automatically log you into our platform. Benefit of doing it that way is you immediately have access to the question box. So you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there will be days when you're out of the office, away from your desktop, but you still want to join live. And there'll be days when you're busy, so you can't join live, but you want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. But you don't have to remember all that. Just youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there's over 2,800 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. Now, if you're new to our neck of the woods, it's a great way to get to know who we really are. Thanks to the power of YouTube, you can see how we've evolved over the years. You can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to. But it's a great resource to have at your fingertips. And again, it does allow you to see how we've evolved over the years. youtube.com/CFRN. This is our schedule for each afternoon broadcast. Michael will be joining us at the top of the hour for a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room. Then we'll do a little live trading on the TradingView platform. But for now, we're going to dive right into our daily devotional, which is where we start each and every day. The topic that we're on, and we're closing it out, this is day 7 of 7. Living large in a small world. A look into Philippians 1. Today's scripture, Philippians 1:27, and I'm going to share it from the NIV translation. Whatever happens, conduct yourselves in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ. Then, whether I come and see you or only hear about you in my absence, I will know that you stand firm in the one Spirit, striving together as one for the faith of the gospel. Now, that scripture, of course, is from the letter that Paul wrote from prison to the church at Philippi. So as we wrap up the 7-day devotional, today we're talking about living above all. Above all, you must live as citizens of heaven. Now, Paul knew a thing or two about citizenship. His status as a Roman citizen often served him well, and many of his readers remembered how the magistrates ignored his citizenship on the first visit he made to the city. That's in Acts 16. So his reminder to the Philippians of their true identity carried a lot of weight. Maybe they had been acting as if they were merely citizens of Rome or residents of Philippi, or even just citizens of Earth. If so, they'd gotten caught up in the small picture instead of the grand vision. Paul spent much of the first part of his letter reorienting their view, demonstrating how radically a redeemed and faith-filled perspective can reveal the kingdom at work behind the scenes. You're having some problems with each other. Don't worry. God will keep growing you toward full maturity. You're concerned about my imprisonment. If you could only see what God is doing through it. Remember, Paul had a captive audience. He was chained to 2 guards on a rotating schedule, and they had to listen to him preach around the clock. Self-centered preachers are trying to make a name for themselves. Okay, but they're still publicizing the name of Christ, and more people are hearing about him. You're concerned for my life? Yes, I might die. But you know what? Either way, I win. The apostle, who appeared to be near the end of his ministry and stuck in a place of fruitlessness, pulled back the curtain to unveil the plot behind the plot. And it was magnificent. By kingdom criteria, nothing was as it appeared. God's work was flourishing. Now in chapter 1, verse 27, he turns toward his readers as if to say, now take everything I've been saying about my circumstances and apply it to yours. The implications are monumental. With this vision, they would conduct themselves in a manner worthy of the gospel, stand together in unity of purpose, become fearless in the face of their enemies, and endure suffering well. A proper vision is more than just an encouraging view. It changes everything. Most Christians live with an earth-to-heaven orientation, as if we're lacking heaven's resources and we're constantly trying to pull them down through prayer and faith and service. But what if we're already raised up with Christ and seated with him in heaven? You can explore that idea in Ephesians 2:6, Colossians 3:1 through 4. What if the difference between answered and unanswered prayer is a matter of recognizing what we've already been given and believing it? What if we're supposed to live with a heaven to earth orientation even while we're still here on earth? Seeing yourself as a citizen of heaven comes with many implications. Unshakable faith, fearlessness, a clear vision of God's kingdom, and your place in it. True priorities, eternal values, a spirit of endurance, and deep roots in the love of God, just to name a few. The issue is not striving for what you want to receive, it's believing what you've already been granted. And it begins with changing the way you see. Let's pray. God, let our lives preach louder than our lips. Make us worthy of the gospel of Christ. Not just when people are watching, but when no one's around. Give us the strength to stand firm, the faith to stay fearless, and the unity to fight side by side with our brothers and sisters. Lord, we don't want to waver. We don't want to shrink back. We want to strive together with one spirit, one purpose, one mission to make Jesus known. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, amen. Amen and happy Wednesday. Hard to believe it's Wednesday already. That's how it goes when Monday's a holiday. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. We'll start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. The Dow is currently down 199 points. The NASDAQ is up 197. The S&P 500 is up 19, while the Russell 2000 is down 4. Yes, the dreaded mixed markets. As futures traders, we like to see the 4 major indices all the same color. We don't care if they're all 4 red or all 4 green, but when they're the same color, that's when you get better follow through on your trades, whether they're all green or all red. But it's when they're divided as they are right now. I mean, the Dow down 199, the NASDAQ up 196. Boy, that's about as divided as you can get. S&P up 19, Russell down 4. It's crazy. Creates sort of a tug of war in the marketplace. Now, there are some big picture things happening, and you'll see those when we go to the charts. But I guess you could ask which came first, the chicken or the egg. Is it this big picture technical thing I'm going to show you when we go to the charts? Or is it all the crazy fundamentals, stupid news, the insane things that I'm so shocked that so many of the people in our country either profess to believe, or legacy media is lying and say they believe it. Because everywhere I go, I ask people, I ask them what they think about these hot topic bulletin points. And somehow, maybe I'm just hanging out with the wrong crowd, but I never get the response that I hear on legacy media. Something going on. So anyway, markets are split. If you had a rough day, don't beat yourself up. Tomorrow's a new day. And last I looked, it was an inside day. We had a wide-ranging day yesterday, and after a wide-ranging day, it's not unusual to have a day of somewhat sideways consolidation. Although those numbers aren't small that I just gave you, the closest one to a mover and a shaker, that would be the NASDAQ, which again is up 196 points, and that's just shy of 1%. The rest of them, not a lot of movement. Okay, in the commodity basket, crude oil is down $1.21, trading 64.38 last. That's a drop of almost 2%. Gold up $37.60, trading 36.29.80 last. That's a gain of over 1%. Silver up 43 cents, trading 41.51 last. That's a gain of over 1%. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei fell 371 points, almost 1%. Shanghai dropped 44, and for the Shanghai, that's a little over 1%. The Hang Seng fell 153 points. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE up 61, the DAX up 107, the CAC up 65, and for the CAC, that's almost 1%. So that gave us a red day in Asia. It was a green day for the UK. And as I've already beleaguered the point, it is a mixed Radio Wednesday here in the US of A. And the NASDAQ is now up over 200 points. just shy of 1%. Yeah, let's look at the news. A federal judge ruled yesterday that the Trump administration illegally deployed 4,000 National Guard troops and 700 Marines to Los Angeles during the June protests against immigration raids. Now, the number one law enforcement official in Los Angeles County said had it not been for Trump and the help he brought, we would not have survived this. From his lips to your ears and mine. But a federal judge that no one elected, he was selected. And now he has more power than the President of the United States. If you don't see and understand what a broken system that is, go back and look at it again, because it's pretty bad. Now, the San Francisco-based judge said the move violated the Posse Comitatus Act. We're all familiar with that, which bars the use of federal troops for domestic law enforcement except in limited cases such as an insurrection. Well, what I saw in LA sure looked like an insurrection to me. The Justice Department, which is expected to appeal, argued the troops were needed to quell unrest and protect federal immigration agents. The 300 National Guard troops still stationed in Los Angeles may remain following yesterday's decision, but their duties are essentially restricted to guarding federal property. This is mind-boggling. How many governors and how many mayors put the criminal before the law-abiding citizen? Now, of course, these mayors and these governors, they have their own security details. They live in gated communities, far away from the fray. He went on a tour to show how safe Chicago is, walking with his security detail, a camera crew, in a neighborhood where homes are $2-3 million. That's not where the crime is. So these self-serving interests are just, it's mind-boggling. And anyone that can't see through it, ask somebody to explain it to you. Now, the ruling applies only to California, not the more than 2,000 National Guard troops Trump deployed to address crime in Washington, D.C. He confirmed plans yesterday to send troops to Chicago and Baltimore. He did not specify a timeline. He said, I'm sending them. The governors and the mayors, they've said, we don't want you to send them. Trump said, I'm the president, I'm sending them. Oh yeah, it'll all get tied up in the courts and, some federal judge somewhere that nobody ever heard of will just create law out of thin air. The framers of our Constitution never imagined anything so ridiculous. Trump's got a lot of character. You like him or not. He gets up every day and goes to work. If I were him, I'd have probably thrown the keys on the desk months ago. Said, you know what? This is what you want. Go for it. Man's got more money than he can spend in his lifetime. It's not about the money. It's not even about the power. He simply desperately wants to make America wealthy again, healthy again, and safe again. Why is that such a bad thing? I mean, the other option is we could become communists, like New York is on the verge of doing, New York City. And we could take away everybody's property, redistribute it to those who didn't work for their property. Just wait till that starts to sink in. Just wait till you start to hear well, I didn't think he would do that. Well, you better listen up, because he's telling you exactly what he's going to do. And imagine all the mom-and-pop bodegas in Brooklyn and the Bronx, all over New York City. Some of those have been run by generations of their family. And now we're going to bring in these communist-style, city-run grocery stores with empty shelves and high prices. I'm amazed that this guy is actually telling everyone up front how much damage he plans to do. Alphabet stock rose, what's it up now? 8.5%. After a federal district court judge ruled late yesterday that Google would not be forced to sell its Chrome browser after ruling divestment a poor fit in a landmark antitrust case. Antitrust means you can't own all of anything. You can't own all the gas stations or all the grocery stores or all the radio stations or all the TV stations. But apparently you can own the browser that 97% of the public uses. Although I think since the advent of ChatGPT, I think ChatGPT probably gets more traffic on a daily basis than Google. A lot of people probably haven't caught up to the ChatGPT. And while I am pro AI to a degree, I'm sure you've heard that very disturbing story of a teenage boy who, using OpenAI, Sam Altman's creation, the boy asked ChatGPT, he told him all his problems and said, should I commit suicide? And he said, basically the bot said, yeah. And the kid said, what's the best way I can do it? And the bot told him. That's going to be tied up in the courts for a while. But for now, Google gets to hang on to their browser. Insane. American Bitcoin, a Bitcoin mining and treasury company backed by President Trump's sons, Eric and Donald Jr., listed on the NASDAQ this morning under the ticker symbol ABTC, and it is up 27% on the day. It's the second crypto venture listing for the Trump brothers this week. Eric Trump, American Bitcoin's co-founder and chief strategy officer, said in a press release, our NASDAQ debut marks a historic milestone in bringing Bitcoin into the core of U.S. capital markets and advancing our mission to make America the undisputed leader of the global Bitcoin economy. First launched as a subsidiary of publicly traded Bitcoin mining firm HUT8 under the symbol HUT, American Bitcoin began trading at $6.90 per share through an all-stock merger with Griffin Digital Mining, GRYP. The stock surged as much as 90% in its first hour of trading before settling back. It was up by over 40% by 11 a.m. New York time. American Bitcoin shareholders, including Eric Trump, his brother Donald Trump Jr., and HUD 8, own 98% of the company. President Trump said his administration would seek an immediate hearing from the Supreme Court in hopes of overturning an appeals court's ruling deeming most of his tariffs illegal. Not only do they want him to, trillions of dollars have poured into our country. That means that as citizens, we have to pay fewer taxes. But when you're part of the elite where money isn't an issue, those things don't really matter, right? All the trillions that have come in, they want him to give it back. Not only do they want him to stop taking in money that is rightly owed to us, we've been cheated as a country for so many years. No one's done nothing about it until Trump came along. And they fought him tooth and nail. They do not care what's good for the American people. They just want to hate Trump. And will it bring a recession? Will it bring a depression? If so, the left's going to own it. And I don't see how they can possibly spin their way out of it. Here we are cooking along, doing just fine, 3% GDP. It's looking pretty good. If the Fed would lower the interest rates, but that's another story. From Reuters, the U.S. Federal Reserve announced Wednesday it would host an October 21st conference on payments innovation. The conference will explore emerging topics like stablecoin use cases, the intersection of artificial intelligence and payments, and the tokenization of financial products and services. All things that the Federal Reserve, these are things that Congress should be dealing with, not the Federal Reserve. Who are these people? I don't know. I know who this guy is, though. Brandon Johnson, Chicago's mayor. At this point, I'm out of adjectives to describe his incompetence. But I'm resolved to keep trying anyway, because it really is quite impossible to either overemphasize or fully articulate just how demoralizingly stupid the man running the city is. The stories of Johnson's idiocy are so many, so varied, and so improbable that they have taken on an aspect of Paul Bunyan-esque folklore. Gather round, children, and let me tell you a tale from an age when giant failures strode the earth. Yes, Brandon Johnson's name, much like his fellow Illinoisian, Abe Lincoln, belongs to the ages now. He's a legend, but not in a good way. The city of Chicago currently faces a yawning $1.2 billion budget shortfall, driven by Johnson's spendthrift profligacy, and that arguably ranks as only the fourth biggest mistake he's made in the last 12 months alone. But little has made Chicago residents more disgusted with Mayor Johnson than his pathetically helpless, rhetorically vapid response to gun crime and the related seasonal surges in youth violence which have rocked Chicago over the past several post-COVID years. Just this past weekend, 50 people shot, 8 dead. And he tells President Trump, we don't want your help. We don't need your help. When's the last time 8 people died over one weekend in the city you live in? You probably can't remember one. But you see, this isn't a one-off for Chicago. This is a week. This has been going on for years. It's become normalized. Now, I've watched this guy and Pritzker tell us that the people of Chicago, the ones who actually live in the city, not in the gated communities with armed security details, but the people in the city are begging President Trump to please come help them have a safe city the way he did Washington, D.C. But these two politicians go on TV and they go, the people don't want your help. Well, what am I missing? Because the people do want the help. And they deserve the help. And will once again they try to stop Trump from taking care of business? Of course they will. Anyway, enough of that. It's kind of depressing. I know. Sorry. Logic 247, our 24/7 around the clock Emini alert service. Not just E-minis, also crude, gold, and silver. We're in week 369. Over the last 369 weeks, we've issued over 20,400 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders in their one-on-one mentoring sessions. Now, because of the holiday weekend, no alerts went out Sunday night. When Monday's a holiday, we don't really start until Monday night, and then the weekly trading zones come out Tuesday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. On a normal week, the weekly trading zones come out Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Since the markets opened Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, the markets were open Monday, but the U.S. was closed. And if you look at the chart, you can spot the difference. U.S. markets futures were open partially. There was some trading and some movement, but it was holiday trade. So anyway, since the markets opened Monday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, we've issued a total of 17 alerts so far this week. Still waiting on the outcome of 4. That gives us 13 actionable alerts, of which 2 or 15% would have been stopped out. Again, based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Every logic alert has an entry price, long or short, an initial target designed to help you get your goal for the day, typically additional targets, and then a final trade to target. The real purpose of the logic alerts is to help you learn how to read a chart. If you're going to trade for a living, you need to learn how to read a chart. There's no words, sentences, paragraphs, or punctuation. It's a whole different language. And if you're going to trade for a living, you got to learn it, okay? Use the logic alerts for the purpose intended. Yeah, you can trade them. That's fine. When Valerie did the recap this morning, it was 6:30 a.m. Eastern. So some of these, and I put out a couple this morning, some of those may have changed. So as she does every afternoon, I think Wednesday she has to take one of the grandkids to a sporting event or something. So either this afternoon or early evening, she'll update the recap as she does. Okay. Now again, over the last 369 weeks and over 20,400 individual handcrafted alerts, we've averaged on a weekly basis 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out. Again, just based on simple market structure. And that simple process we teach all of our passport holders. 369 weeks. We did the math last week, so a little over 7 years. So that's a long time. But years before we had Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. And they're quite different. The Logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock, 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. But the CTAs, they're published as a static report, typically 5 minutes before the market opens. Tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, that's the official start of the Wednesday session. Last night, Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, that was the official start of the Tuesday session. So all of our traders and trial members had all of these targets 5 minutes before the market opened. S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. Okay. So let's go take a look at where we are. New all-time historic high, 65.23. That's 2 ticks off. That should say 65.23. On the daily, it's hard to get it right on the number, so we're just off by 2 ticks. So when we put in this new all-time intraday high, we ended up with a red day, followed by a doji, followed by a red day, followed by a red day, followed by a red day. And then, bang, there we go. So now we got a leg, a retracement, a leg. Now, is this a retracement of this leg? Or is this the beginning of a new leg to the downside? We got red and falling overhead. Where we close today, as always, will be very important. Okay. Now, I think price, to keep this bull market healthy into the end of the year, we got to have a minimum of a 24% retracement. I'd rather see a 38, a 50, and this thing takes off like a rocket ship. Okay. Because the market's not afraid to go where it's gone before. But you see, right here, this high, 65.23. Price has never traded at 65.23 and a quarter, ever in history. And why is 65.23 the all-time historic high? Because at that moment in time, nobody was willing to pay 65.23 and a quarter. Nobody, nowhere around the world. Not a retail trader, not an institutional trader, not nobody. And so what do we get? We get a retracement to the VBC. Price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. It's called the VBC. Stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses below the green line, we're bearish and expect lower prices. When price crosses above the green line, we're bullish and expect higher prices. Now the pullback to the VBC holds more often than it doesn't. But eventually it will trade through. Now you might go, well, didn't it trade through there or there or there yesterday? Well, it spiked the BBC, but these candles, they're still touching, still touching, still touching. Down here, on April 24th, we closed above the BBC, all right? But the following day, the 25th, that's what made it real, because we opened and closed above the BBC. Leg retracement, leg retracement, leg retracement. Now again, the pullback holds more often than not, but eventually it's going to trade through. And I don't mean just spike it. I mean, we're going to close below the BBC. We're going to open and close below the BBC. That's when you should expect the market to start dropping. And the shallowest possible fib retracement is the 24, which is currently at 6134/35. Now, one side of the aisle is absolutely furious that the market's at all-time highs. And so they're doing everything in their power to change that. They've already made their money. They already have their house behind the gilded gates. They halved their armed security detail. They just want to spite Trump. But just when they think they're winning, the 24, the 38, or the 50 is going to hold as perfect technical support, and then we're going to see a rocket ship. But if we just keep dilly-dallying along up here, that's rather worrisome. Yesterday was very interesting. I mean, we had a red candle all the way down. Little double bottom action. Look where we closed. Right above the BBC. Pullback holds more often than not. Now, we attempted a run higher earlier. This is an inside day, which means we've not taken out yesterday's high or low. Often after a wide-ranging day, you will have a quiet sideways consolidation kind of day. Now, we know the NQ's bucking the trend, and the Dow and the S&P, which normally trade almost step for step, they're off. We've got the divided markets today. So let's go look at them. The vertical line separates today, Wednesday, from Tuesday. Back here is Monday. Okay. Now, when price drops to a weekly trading zone, that's these. They're published Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. When Monday's a holiday, they're published Tuesday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. We publish the zones for our members every Monday for the last 15.5 years. So, we made a run and got stopped at the zone. When price finds resistance, it's naturally going to go look for support. Remember, the pullback holds more often than not. You get a big leg, get a retracement, pullback holds, get a leg and a retracement, a leg. Now, this high right here, follow the horizontal line on the cursor. See this little, right here, this little crevice between these two. Here you got a wick pointing down, you got a wick pointing up. So what you've created right there is an important price, important area. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. So that's where that resistance came from. Sent us back to the BBC, pullback held, and then we made a run up. Now you can't see it behind the thing, but we got this 64, 64 and a quarter. So we missed the long target by 3 ticks. But there was plenty of opportunity to get your goal for the day on the upside. Now we're below the BBC. We've got red and falling overhead. And we're taking out this low right here, trying to. Okay. Next area for potential support, it's going to be right about here, 64.29. And then 64.26. And then the weekly zone, 64.22/23. Again, when price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance till proven otherwise. And when price drops to a zone, we expect support till proven otherwise. Okay. All right, so that's the ES. Here's the Dow. We opened right at a weekly zone. We got below the BBC, and down we went right to the short target. Now, the short target is simply based off this low right here. That's market structure. See, this was a red candle all the way down, and buyers came in and drove it back up. That made that an important price, important area. And as you can see, price respected that today. Support will send the market looking for resistance, which it found at the weekly zone, like it did yesterday. Spiked it a little bit, but it could not take out this high right here. Now this long target was based on that little blip right there. Okay, we can get up there. Failure to take out this high on this move up, that's a sign of weakness. And that brought us back to the short target again. Support sends us up to the BBC, resistance, pullback held, holds more often than not. Now we've come back down through the short target again. So where should we look for support? There's potential support right here at 45.080, 45.040, and 45,000. If you scroll left, you'll find other areas where the market should potentially find support. This low right here, see where the step line hooked back up right there? Now this low here, okay, we're spiking this area here. This was an area for potential support. And this candle still has 6 minutes left in its lifespan. So we'll see if it holds or not. But we know here there's definitely potential support. 45080, 45040, 45,000. The Russell. Here's where we opened last night. Get below the BBC, consolidate at the zone. Now, when price encounters a weekly trading zone, only one of 3 things happens. 70% of the times, consolidation. 20% of the times, rejection. 10% of the times, the slice. So as you can see, the market found support at the zone, resistance at the zone, and we overshot the zone. And there's only One more zone down below, very far down. But we came down, we hit the short target, we traded through it, trying to get to that little spot right there. The buyers came in, drove it back up, got a leg and a retracement. You see how the pullback to the BBC held? This is really support times 2, because you got the BBC and the weekly trading zone, which is 2348/49. That's support, and this was the 9:30 opening candle, sent us right up to the long target. But we failed to take out that high from yesterday. See, Monday resistance, Tuesday resistance. Couldn't take it out today. Sign of weakness. So here we are back consolidating at the weekly zone, 2348/49. We're below the BBC. Got red and falling overhead. Both of those are bearish. But we have the zone and we have a bullish cross right here. That's when the blue line gets above the green line. When you have a bullish cross that leads to an extended move, the first time price revisits that area will almost always be good support. And that's basically what that low right there is. Exactly. See that? So we're going to consolidate until the market makes up its mind and makes a move in one direction or the other. The NQ, here's where we opened last night. Dropped to the weekly trading zone. Now, again, once the weekly zones are published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change. Remember, 70% of the time, consolidation. Finally, red and falling turned to blue and climbing. Price took off. We got a leg. We got a retracement. See, we pull back to the VBC right there, and it held. So then we get a leg, a little retracement, another leg, and boom, we're at the long target. Resistance sends the market looking for support. We expect the pullback to hold until proven otherwise. Support sent us up to the weekly zone overhead, where we had resistance Tuesday and Monday, even though it was a short day. Resistance has now sent us back to support. That's how markets work. Price goes, whether it doesn't matter if it's stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETFs. Price flows from support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. Support, resistance, back to support. Pull back holds more often than not, but eventually it's going to trade through, like it did right here. See, this pullback held, and this pullback held, this pullback held, this pullback held, this pullback held, this one, and then we finally traded through. And once we got a nice leg, what do? We pull back to the VBC, and what happens? Pull back holds, and pull back holds, pull back holds, pull back holds. Boom. Now the NQ, the zone is 23,510/11. So we spiked it just a little bit and then quickly reversed. Okay, I think that was the sound of Michael.
That was. My mic was actually off. I've been here
entering the building. So
yes.
We will pick up with crude, gold, and silver when I come back. Michael's going to give us a recap of what happened in the live training room this morning and do a little live trading on the TradingView platform.
Okay.
Then I'll come back, finish everything up.
The big inverted head and shoulder pattern there on the NQ too.
Yeah.
Get the bounce from where we are. All-time high is coming up.
Okay, looks good.
All right, good. Here we go. It's a trade here on the ES. So let's go here first. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 3rd day of September 2025. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. No credit card is required for this trial. Just click on that. It's going to be to this registration page. Just fill out the form. Once you do that, down here at the bottom, one of the things we ask you for is your TradingView login ID. That's probably one of the most important things on there. If you want your indicators to indicate on your desktop, you're going to have to get a TradingView ID, right? If you want to take full advantage of the trial, supply us with that TradingView login ID. Hit the register button. We'll know you did it, and you'll know you did it, and all the information will be sent accordingly. All right, so the spreadsheet. We ended with a couple of stop outs on gold today, and that kind of hurt us. It was $300 a contract, so we were quite a bit more than this, but as it turns out, this is how we ended up. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. We had 93 ticks on the NQ, -5 on the Russell, +8 on gold. We were up at 38, and -6 on the ES. Put us at 445 in the morning session. Today, it took 4 minutes. That ES trade that I was telling you about, the stop is about to go to break even on. Here it is. Took 4 minutes in one trade so far. And this morning to hit our goal for the day, and at that point it was an NQ trade with all 45 ticks. So we were at 2250 at that point, and we took a total of 30 trades this morning. So on the month now, we're at $950 with one contract over 2 business days, averaging $475 per contract per 2-hour business day. On the year now, we are at $185,395 over 149 business days, averaging $1,200. That ES trade is going to break even right now. Just so you know. Break even. Averaging $1,244 per contract per 2-hour business day. If you were to quit trading when you get the goal for the day and add one contract per month, so far this year, you would have only had to work a little over 20 hours, and you'd be up $110,732. You'd be at 9 contracts right now, adding one contract per month. I'm going to lock in a little on that. 2 ticks locked in on this. You'd be at $110,732 trading high contracts. I'm out with 2 ticks. Averaging $5,436 per hour. Okay. So that's a pretty believable thing considering I just got those 2 ticks on the ES. That's $250 for me. And we've been going for 2 minutes. So it's a realistic number. It really is. All right. The trades. Let's get into them. We traded more on the NQ than anything else, but we did trade a little bit on everything. So we'll just start out with the gold and work our way across. Okay. On the gold, let's go all the way back here on the gold. Okay. Now, we were doing really well with gold. If I had quit trading gold when we were up quite a bit, it'd have been a great day. Our first trade on gold was right here. We picked up 6 ticks on that. And then our next trade was right here. We actually got caught in this gap right here. We had a long trade ready to fill, and I was about to cancel it, but the news came out and it just filled us, and it gave us 17 ticks. Right? And the next trade we took on gold was here. We picked up 10 on that to get us to 33. And here we went from 33 to 38. And then we stopped out there, brought us down to 23. Then we stopped out here, brought us down to 8. And that is where we ended it. Now, during the break, it looks like there was one trade on gold right here that would have worked out pretty well. One trade right there that would have stopped out. One trade right here that would have been a break even. One trade right here that would have worked out just fine. Okay, and that was it on the gold. Now, the Russell. On the Russell, we were back and forth a little bit. This is the whole day on the Russell right here. But I put the Russell on the 19 range, by the way. It was wild this morning. Right through here at the open, it was wild. It was bouncing around a lot on the 9 range. So much so I couldn't keep track of it. So I put it on the 19. The first trade we got here, we picked up 15 ticks. Then we stopped out on that, put us to -10. Then we picked up one ETFs there, got us to plus 10. Then we stopped out on that, put us at minus 15. Then we got 10 there, got us to minus 5. Now on the 19 range during the break, there was nothing. No trades at all during the break on the 19 range. Maybe one right here. Maybe. Did hit the midpoint, give it down close. Would have been a break-even trade. That was it. Not a whole lot happened in there. I'm going to go back to the 9 range on this right now. Okay, and that means I go change my DOM before I forget. Trade window to chart. Go back down to a 9 range. 15 by 25 bracket. Stay on 10 contracts. Shut off the confirmations. Okay, that looks good. All right, that all looks good. Just make sure. Yep, okay. Let me see this. I can't see it right now. All right, so anyway, that is what we did on the Russell. The Russell is actually about to set up a long trade here on the 9 range. The bottom of this is at 50.5, so you're buying 51.5 on that. Now 51.2 on that. $50.2 to 51.2 on the Russell right now. This will close over here on the NQ is actually a trade too. All right, so I was going into the ES. On the ES today, let's see. This is what we did. Our first trade here on the ES, we picked up 2 ticks. Then we stopped out on this. This was my fault. We stopped out on that, and I got to minus 8 after that one. And I picked up 4 ticks there to get us to, I picked up 2 ticks to get us to minus 6, and then we had a break even. That was it with all that. During the break, let's see. During the break, let's see. During the break, there was one trade right here on the ES, and that was it. Just this one trade on the ES. That would have worked out okay. All right. All right. Now the NQ was where we had the majority of the trades. I'm just going to hit the control back button rather than put you through all that sliding. There were a lot of R's this morning. Wow. All right, so our first trade right here, we picked up 45 ticks. That's where we got the gold foot on that one right there. 45 ticks on that. And we missed the next one, which was a really nice trade right there. And we missed that one, which was also a really nice trade. And we got that one, which stopped us out. So we're at 45, then we're down to 20 right there. Break even. Then we went from 20 to 24. And then we got 45 ticks on this one. That got us up to 69. Then we stopped out, put us down to, I wrote down 45, but I think it should have been 44. Well, 45, and then we went from there to 61. Then we had a break even, 69. And then we stopped out here down to 44. And then we went from 44 up to 60, so that was 16 ticks. Then we went from 60 to 64, that was 4 ticks. And then we stopped out again somewhere. We had a break even and then a stop out right there. And that brought us down to 39. Then went from 39 to 62, and from 62 to 64, and 64 to 84, and 84 to 93. So now I stayed in that all the way through there, down to here. And that is where we wrapped it up with the NQ. Now, during the break, let's see, I don't see right here during the break. That was the only one that worked out okay. Well, that was the only one so far. This here would have been just like that one. Took a few minutes for it to happen, but it did eventually happen. This one right here worked out. This one right here worked out. This one right here worked out. This one right here would have been break even, probably plus a little bit. This would have stopped out. Maybe would have stopped out. I think it would have stopped out altogether. Yeah, eventually would have stopped out right there. This probably would have been break even all through that coverage. Then this one right here would have been okay. This one right here would have been good. This one right here would have eventually been good through all that coverage. This was, if you took it, it was barely off the midpoint, but if you took it, it would have been okay. And that was it. So with the NQ, we ended up with 93 ticks. Okay, during the break, it looks like there were a lot of decent trades there during the break. The Russell, that trade that was setting up at the beginning, when I started talking about all this, it's actually going right now. Now, I was looking for it to happen on that one, but I left the trade on, and here it is. I'm going to move the stop to break even on that and lock in 10 ticks on that. That wasn't a valid trade, actually. I had left the order on this one right here. And it filled me at 1.2. I just took 10 ticks on it. Anyway, that's it. Okay, so if you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com. Click on the purple button, no credit card required. It's going to bring you to the registration page. Just fill it out. Right. Today is Wednesday, September 3rd. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Just fill out the registration page and we'll get you in there. All right. Get your indicators indicating and get you trading. So one of the things, I'm sure Dwayne has probably looked at this. I just wanted to look at it myself. Look where we are on the day. This is the daily ES. We're right where we opened, right here. Went all the way down there and all the way up there. And now we're right here, big doji. And I believe it's a big doji because they're waiting for the high impact news that we have tomorrow and on Friday to see what this is going to do by the end of the day on Friday. So this guy right here, the SPY, you see that is also a big giant doji, but I suggested buying calls on it when it was down here yesterday. I think I also mentioned it on Friday. I said if it gets down to the BBC, then look to buy calls if it gets down to the BBC. And it got down to the BBC yesterday. It opened below the BBC yesterday. So that is what I've been watching here. Okay. All right. Now let me go here like this, and this over here on gold, it looks like it might have been a trade. Looks like it might have been just one tick below the midpoint. But we'll look for something else. We'll see if anything else pops up. I don't see any questions in here yet. So we'll just trade what's in front of us here. All right, we have about 17 minutes of trading left to happen right now.
Yes, is at the weekly zone 64.49/50.
What's the next zone above that, Dwayne?
Above that is 64.80/81.
I figured it was probably a long way up. So that's the last one, 80.81.
Oh no, there's 1, 2, 3 more above that.
Oh wow. Okay. Well,
the highest zone is 66.37.
66.37. Wow. Oh, that's right. We started off way down this week.
Yep.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Well, good.
Yep. So we're climbing out of the trenches.
Yep. Lots of room on the upside.
Yep.
And I think you're on the 30-minute chart on the NQ earlier, right? Something like this.
Yeah. If it was my chart, yeah.
Yep. And so what I was thinking is this is a head.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a shoulder right here. This is also a shoulder right here. And from this level to this level, you are almost exactly on from there to there. If it breaks above that, well, then the next level is up here, and then the next level is all-time highs, I believe, right? Yeah, right in here. So I think there's Well,
What
there's
price is
good
the,
chance.
what's the NQ at right now? 23.
23,450.
23,450. The next zone overhead's 23,510.
Okay, 510. That's just about near the top of that swing that I was talking about. If it breaks
Yeah.
that, then it should break out above it. I mean, if we do break out above it, it should keep going to the next zone. But that's good stuff. The NQ, I gotta put that.
Above 510 is 665.
Okay, and that puts you right up here. So let's look at that in the bigger picture. 665, that's perfect, right over here. Right here, it's 670, 670-ish right here. That makes sense. Makes perfect sense. Right, and hopefully it makes points. We'll see. So this right here, right now on the NQ is not a trade. Right, the midpoint's not flat. We did come out of the oversold, but the midpoint's not flat on that. The gold's going to give us a down close followed by an up close. The Russell's going to give a down close followed by an up close. It's going to give 2 down closes actually, followed by an up close. And the ES is going to take 2 down closes followed by an up close also. All right. All right, so over here on the gold, we wanted to test the midpoint, get a down close, test the midpoint, and then give us an up close. That's what we'd like to see over there. And the NQ just took off. So we want to see now the midpoint just adjusted because we came out of the overbought right there. So they all have a little work to do here before we have a trade set up. Okay, not a whole lot happening right here. I made a video this morning for any of you guys that are watching right now that do not know. We have this channel out in Telegram called TIQ Videos. Okay, this guy right here, TIQ Videos, and it's open to the public. So if you want to get into that, I made a video this morning about how to determine if you're too far from the midpoint to have a trade. You know, where you're able to look out a couple of bars to see if you got a trade coming up or how many bars it's going to take to have a trade coming up. Okay. Like this one right here. Obviously right now you're at the midpoint, but you're not in the oversold. So you need to get down into the oversold, down close, and then you have to have an up close to come out of the oversold while still touching the midpoint. Okay. You want to close on or above the midpoint. So a down close on this bar, followed by an up close on the next bar would work. But if that doesn't happen, then you don't have a trade. Okay. So there's the down close. Now an up close on this bar, 49.75 is going to close up at 54.75. So that would be a trade at 54.75. Right. So what you can do is put a buy stop limit on right there because you know on an up close it's going to pull it out of the oversold. And I believe that's still 4.75. Yeah. Put this window on top. Let's see what the bottom of that is. Bottom is 48.75. So that if it goes down below 48.25, if it goes above 48.25, this is not going to work out. Okay, because you want to buy it 5 points above the bottom of the bar. And if 5 points above the bottom of the bar ends up being below the midpoint, then it's not going to be a trade. But right now, it's going to work out to be right on the midpoint. The up close will. And there it is. And we're in. And now 10 ticks in profit. The stop goes to break even. I think it's already gone 10. Didn't it? Anyway, we're out with a break even on that one. I don't know. Did we actually make 10 on that? I can't tell. I gotta see what my entry actually was. It was 53.50. So it would have had to have gotten up to 56, and that's exactly what it did. It got up to 56. Needed 2.5 points, so it did hit 10 ticks. Okay. I know that happened really fast. But that's all you're looking for. Again and again and again. The same thing. Okay. So in the trades that we've taken so far, we got a couple of ticks on the yes trade that triggered right here at the start. We got 10 ticks on the Russell trade that I didn't mean to put on. And we got a break even over here on the NQ trade so far. Okay. Let's just look around here and see what we got going on. And let's see here. Yeah, we just don't have everything over here on the gold. We need a down close to get into the oversold. That would put us at the midpoint, and then an up close to give us a trade. That's what we're looking for. And there it is so far on the 9 range. So we've got a low here, 34.2, so we buy in 35.2 on that. Okay, not a trade here on the yes. I know it came out of the oversold, but it did not hit the midpoint on the pullback, not even close. Not a trade here on the NQ because this last one didn't make it full cycle. So the only valid trade we have right now is this one right here on the gold. If it closes up, it's going to close up. It's not a trade yet. But this is what it looks like on the top. And there it is. Got the up close, we got the fill. It's got to get up to 0.7 to go to break even. It should get up to 36.7. 36.7 should get up to here. That's the high of the day right there. That's what it should get up to right now. So no trade here on the ES. The only trade we have is this one over here on gold. Nothing else is traded yet. We have about 5 minutes left now. So that could be our final trade. All right, so the NQ is tanked right here. Let's flip the YBR down. Couldn't get a long trade off of that. I'm a short trade off of that. Coming up here, we're in the overbought. It's going to take a few more bars. It's going to have to go flat in the overbought. I don't think we're going to end up with a trade here on the NQ. Not right now, but perhaps in the future. Gold is still working over there. The indices are dropping, so it's possible the gold could run a little bit. Nothing. Now we're a little closer to a trade on the NQ. Okay. We need, well, and because of that right there, probably not. We'll see. We're down to a few minutes left now. So far, we've had a couple ticks on the ES, a break even on the NQ, a plus 10 on the Russell. Gold is just about ready to go here. This is where it wants to go, right here, 36.4. This is where it should go, right there. So once it gets through this, it should go right up to 36.7. All right, so this is not going to be a trade here on the NQ. If we get it down close, it's not going to touch the midpoint, so it's not going to be a trade. The ES, however, and that's not going to be a trade either. It's going to go a long ways up and come back down and then go back up. We won't have anything with that. So the ES is kind of setting up for a short more than a long. I mean, it's the price action is set up for a short. The trigger, all that is set up for a short more than a long. Background color is the thing that's wrong right here. Gold is still struggling over here. Still no trade. I mean, no money on that yet. It's still at a trade, but no money. See right here, down close, I would think would go short, would keep going down on this, but it's not a valid trade. Not a valid trade over here on the NQ either, yet. Come on, gold, get up there. See the chop that we're in? So we are entered right at the top of the chop. There we go. It's got to get up to 0.7. Get this to break even. One more, there it goes. Okay, now we're going to break even. I'm going to lock in one tick. It should make it all the way up to 36.7. Should get up to the high of the day. Now I'm going to lock in 10 ticks. That's $1,000. And 36.7 should come right up here. All right, well, we got 10 ticks out of it. All right, so we got 10 ticks there, 10 ticks there, 2 ticks there, and a break even here. So far, so that was 1,000, that was 500, that was 250, and that was break even. So $1,750 we've made with 10 contracts on, or 175 with one. Not bad for free. All right, and that's it. Let me just show you how to take the free trial one more time. Go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click on that purple button. It's going to bring you to this registration page. Just fill it out, all right? Gives you TradingView login ID down here at the bottom. Click the register button, and we'll get your indicators indicating on your desktop for you so you can get started with all this stuff, making money just like I did. All right, that is it. With that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona in Studio A overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
I am.
Excellent.
Okie doke. Recap of the morning session.
Today, it took 4 minutes and 1 trade to get to $2,250.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys. We'll pick up where we left off with crude. Crude's been pretty active today. Huge sell-off and a retracement back to the BBC. Pullback hill. Now yesterday we exceeded the highest weekly zone for the week, which, because it's a holiday week, we got to think of Tuesday sort of like a Monday and Wednesday sort of like a Tuesday. But anyway, point being, by the end of the week, crude should be substantially lower because we hit the highest weekly zone so early in the week. This is where we opened last night. We're above the BBC. Came down, the pullback held. Opening candle was down. Bounced us up to red and falling resistance. That got us below the BBC. And the pullback held, and it held, and it held, and it held. And then we made a huge drop through the short target, through this zone. At this zone, we caught a bounce and then continued to the next zone. Got a retracement back up to this zone, spiked it up to red and falling. Then we come back to the zone, and then another bounce back to the zone, and from this zone down to this zone, a little bounce all the way down to this zone, which is not the lowest weekly zone. There are still 2 zones below this one. So from this zone, we bounced all the way back to the BBC and the weekly zone. So that's resistance times 2. The pullback held. And now we find ourselves, this one candle here at 11:30. Well, here we are at 1:30. 11:30 to 12, we traveled quite a distance. 63.80 to 64.80. That one candle right there, that green candle, that's worth $1,000 per contract traded. Whenever the price of crude moves $1, it's worth $1,000 per contract traded. When gold moves $1, $100 per contract traded. Silver moves $1, $5,000 per contract traded. So now we're well below the BBC. We did have a little balloon climbing going on. We still do, but it looks to me like it's going to turn to red and falling. So then the question becomes, do we break through this zone and head to the next one? We would have expected support here. Came in a little early right here. Buyers came in a little bit early. Drove it up. Dropped it back down. We were really close. It's an area. Bullish cross. Extended move. Price revisits the area. First time. Support. So, made a leg, a retracement, a leg. Turns out it was actually a leg, a retracement, a leg, a retracement, and a leg. So the big question here is, will blue and climbing become red and falling? And if it does, chances are We'll trade below this zone. We got potential support at 63.75 and 63.70. So I would let price get, down to about 63.65 and trade it to the zone at 63.55. Gold, big day for gold. Gold is at the highest weekly trading zone right now as we speak. Here's where we opened last night. We're above the BBC, so we expect higher prices. We had a breakthrough red and falling right there, which we did. Okay. So from 36, basically $500 per contract traded if you waited for price to get through red and falling. $500 up to the long target, but it actually went all the way to 36.16. That'd be another $600 per contract traded. From 10, almost $700. So from here, 36.05 to here, 36.17. It's $1,200 per contract traded. So we hit the long target again and again and again. Then we get a retracement to the BBC, the pullback holds, sends us back to the long target, resistance, which sends us back to support at the BBC. And now we're at the highest weekly zone. So just like with crude yesterday danced a bit above the highest zone, and you see where it is now. Based on the last 15.5 years of weekly trading zones, even if we get above the highest zone or below the lowest zone, by close of business on Friday, even if we've been up here, we expect price to be at or below the highest weekly zone. Yes, there have been weeks where we closed above the highest or below the lowest, but it's not the norm. But it has and can happen. So we'll see how it does this week. Silver. This is where we opened last night. We're above the BBC, but we're sort of pinched. We got the weekly zone right overhead. Resistance. So we're from support, resistance, back to support, back to resistance. And we actually get below the BBC and not really an area I would have anticipated support, but that's where buyers came in, so you got to respect that. Trade what's in front of you. So we get a leg, back to the zone, retracement, leg and a retracement. See, the retracement came back to the zone. That sent us up to and through the target. High of the day for silver is 42.30. Now, this is a kind of a big deal. Silver has only been to $50 twice in history. Back in the 80s, the Hunt brothers tried to corner the market by buying all the silver, and they went broke. But things happen. And then some years back, sort of its own accord, price ran to 50, and then once it hit 50, it beat a fast retreat. Market likes to repeat itself. I'm not really so concerned about whether or not price is going to 50. I believe it is. I have for years. But this time, the third time in history that we hit 50 bucks. What I want to see is price traded through 50, and then when we get the retracement, I want to see, now 50 has been resistance twice. Isn't it about time for 50 to become support? That's what I'm watching for. That's what I'm waiting for. We'll see what happens. I know last week I talked quite a bit about the importance of staying above 38 bucks, and we're definitely above 38 bucks. So that's a good thing. $4 above. A $1 move in silver is worth $5,000 per contract traded. One last look at the daily. It's still an inside day. We haven't taken out yesterday's high or yesterday's low. We got a doji straddling the daily BBC. It's got a little red body to it. Up top, you got red and falling. So, how do we close the session? Buyers come in and try to save the day. Or, I think you can see how this thing is transitioning over. How it's making this rounding top. But we'll just keep trading what's in front of us. To become a member, email Valerie, support@cfrn.net. Let her know you want to become a member. She'll send you an email with all the information you need and a link to click to make your payment. Once you do that, she'll send you a ton of emails. Well, not a ton, a couple. They got a ton of information. Create a folder in your email client and store them away. A lot of the stuff you won't even know what it means, what she's talking about, but the time will come on your learning journey where you will need that information and you will know what that information is, and it's nice to know where you put it. Okay? 2 hours of live training every trading day. Private one-on-one mentoring at your request. Strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. Price flow is the same, whether it's stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETFs, doesn't matter. Price goes from support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. As a passport holder, you get the Logic 247 alerts around the clock. Concierge trade alerts, the second they're published each evening. Monday mornings, 6:15 a.m. Eastern, you get the weekly trading zones. And on Thursday afternoon, you get your invitation to attend the members-only workshop every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And last but not least, you get the golden keys that open all the private channels in Telegram. Everything a trader needs, all under one roof, one low price. Let's wrap it up with our good word for today. Help for your marriage. Ecclesiastes 9:9. Live happily with the woman you love through all the meaningless days of life that God has given you under the sun. The wife God gives you is your reward for all your earthly toil. Love and marriage can be hard to define, but this time-tested description captures it beautifully. Love is friendship that has caught fire. It's quiet understanding, mutual confidence, sharing and forgiving. It's loyalty through good times and bad. It settles for less than perfect and makes allowances for human weaknesses. Real love is patient and present. It looks forward with hope and refuses to dwell on the past. It's made up of everyday moments, irritations, compromises, disappointments, victories, and the commitment to keep moving forward together. The Bible says, relish life with the spouse you love every day. Make the most of each one. Marriage isn't about having it all together. It's about walking through life side by side, trusting that love and grace will fill the gaps. If you have love, it can make up for what you don't have. But if you don't, no matter what else you have, it won't be enough. To make your marriage work, follow these 5 rules. 1, don't yell. If you need to raise your voice, let it be for something truly urgent like fire. 2, put your spouse first. Choose their honor over your own. 3, prioritize each other over everything and speak words of encouragement every day. 4, greet each other warmly and never go to bed angry. 5, own your mistakes. Talk things through and forgive quickly. Remember, in Genesis, marriage was God's idea. So if you're struggling, don't carry it alone. Bring your heart to Him in prayer. He knows how to help, and He will. That's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.